Old Clint's.
That's why I keep.
I can't see it.
Yeah, well, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm making excuses why I keep calling you Clint. We'll go to next item under old business, City Hall hours of operation. I believe, Councilor Walker, this was yours from last week.
Staff was going to prepare something.
We decided we don't want to change we're just going to do the side on our side, and finance, they're doing what they want to do. So we just decided we were going to change ours.
Okay, so we don't need a motion to change theirs, but for finance, they're open 9 to 4, is that
They're
right?
open 9 to 4:30.
9 to 4:30. So they should be following 8 to 5.
This is an item you want to take up in the finance committee.
I'm not on the finance committee, so I think that's a great place for it.
We can bring it up, assuming we have a meeting.
Do you have a meeting scheduled?
We should have one tomorrow. I haven't heard anything on it.
Do you think you get staff at it tomorrow?
That's a good question.
Yeah, good luck. So we'll refer this item to the finance committee and request a report back after the next meeting?
Yes.
Does that work? Anything else on this topic before we move on? Seeing none. Third item under old business is status of bank error. I believe, Councilor Putnam, this was an item you had brought up.
Yeah, we've had a running accounting issue. I was hoping we would have finance staff here tonight to present on this, so I have no update for you on the status of that error. Per council request, I did inquire of MRHC's attorneys about the possibility of having a special audit from the state auditor to attempt to resolve the situation. They said that that is something that we might be able to pursue, although it would be awkward requesting it over the heads of staff. And they also cautioned that if the auditor finds an error that is significant, that would be a finding from the auditor as if it were a standard audit, which could have implications for the city's credit standing. So that is a possibility to pursue that, but they urged internal resolution if possible first. Not having had a finance committee meeting or had finance staff at our meetings since then, I don't know how close to possible that is.
I have the feeling that we aren't going to get much cooperation in allowing the finance committee to do a preliminary audit in cooperation form of canceled checks and checklist.
And I think those were requested, weren't they?
I haven't had a response to any of my requests to staff in the last meeting, so they were requested, but I have had no response. Councilor
Jones.
Somebody brought up an issue that the possibility that since you are on the signatory for the bank, that you could ask the bank directly for records. So you may be able to at least check with the bank and see if you could do that yourself, going back to October, getting records for the checks. But without, like you said, without getting staff's assistance, which I believe we're not going to get, we're going to have little to no impact finding out what's going on with it.
I would also suspect that if it is an accounting error that has to do with coding, the checks are quite possibly all correct. It's a matter of where it's being recorded, and something being recorded somewhere that is not showing up on the financial statements. And that could easily be just an error from the setting up of one particular automated transaction or something like that. The finance director has, I'm told, been talking to the software vendor and having them assist in auditing whether it's a software error. Reportedly, they don't think it is a software error, they think it's a bookkeeping error, but that has not yet been resolved.
Back to Councilmember Jones' suggestion about me going to get those. I believe that I can. The question is the amount of fees that the bank might charge for doing so. when the neighbors might be sitting 3 or 4 walls away from us right now.
It wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Find out.
Okay, I'll make
At
it.
least we know that. Can we do donation? Pay for the fee.
Ask the bank for a donation.
I'll donate.
Back through October, we're thinking.
I'm thinking that's what we were talking about.
Okay. I'll find out how much it would cost.
Yeah.
I need to make a stop in there.
Then the next step would be to get the check registered.
Any other comments on this issue? Is there a motion to be made?
So moved.
What moved?
That we proceed on, that.
Oh,
Internal audit.
I'll do that. I'll look into it and report back. I just don't want to leave the item if there's any council action that's intended.
Can't think of any at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be curious to find out what happens at the next finance committee meeting. We'll move to, I don't believe we have any new business that was added to the agenda tonight. So we'll move to consent agenda. There was one payroll and vouchers packet that was presented to council. Have council members had a chance to review it?
Yes.
Is there a motion to be made?
Move to approve the payable.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda payable. Since it's consent agenda, no comments are required, so I'll pause in case there are any.
There was
Councilmember Jones.
concern on a couple bills and who they were, and I asked about Gary McLean, $6,961.23, exactly who that was, identified as the Civil Service Commission attorney. So that's for the last, I'm assuming, his activities over the last 2 events with the mayor.
I believe that would just be the current building on those.
And there's one in there for Sousa Law Firm, 660716. I'm going to assume that's related to charges to the city for his services for the court activities.
Yep, or Mr. Luz's firm.
Or Mr. Sosa.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a subcontracted attorney. Anything else? Okay.
There's also a check to Dr. Jesper Power, check number 41696 for $300.
Translator, can't remember which language. They've been on the payable a lot of times.
Okay.
Samoan, I believe. Oh, no, that's a different one. Yeah, it's interpreter.
Question for the council is adoption of the consent agenda and its payroll and payables. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Is there any for an executive session tonight?
I don't think so.
Don't do it just for fun. There being no further business.
Point of order.
Well, a point of order from the audience.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Since there is no published agenda, neither online nor emailed, nor, I guess there was one posted on the door, but that, I thought I saw something when I came on. It's gone. Okay. Well, that means we don't know what was on the agenda. And last week at the workshop, you discussed the committee to explore a change of government, and a meeting was to be scheduled. I would like to know if that was on the agenda, and if it was on the agenda, if there has been one scheduled.
Well, let me first answer respond to the comment about the agenda. Council was not provided an agenda either. This is as close as it got to an agenda for us tonight. What you saw me looking down at was last week's agenda, so I could remember the order in which things came. So we share your pain about not having an agenda. I believe Councilmember Jones might be able to answer your question.
I was going to ask, because of 2 other council members on that committee, if they would be available Tuesday the 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the afternoon.
What time would be,
the later the better.
so, 6:30, 7?
Yeah, anytime after 5:30 is fine.
What time do you have dinner?
About 5.
You want to shoot for 6 o'clock then?
6 o'clock, fine.
Okay.
6 o'clock, we're at?
Here.
Here.
In the chambers.
Okay.
Because the 30th.
30th, yeah.
Okay. Now, there being no further business, we are adjourned.